Hello everyone else, welcome to new video. Today I'm going to talk about we are living in the post-truth world. Even we couldn't recognize what's going on behind of these limits. For example, I have been thinking always being a king or being a shepherd. So which life is better than other? Have you ever thought this issue before, or this affair is just constantly coming up to you? The idea is being a king is a bit of complicated when we are comparing the situation between the shepherd. Okay, the shepherd should need to have a simple life and he can do whatever he wants. He doesn't need to get more gain, he doesn't need to get more power, he doesn't need to get more wealth, he doesn't need to get more attention. But if you are just comparing the situation between a king, the king need to be live in the anxiety. Maybe he is just getting a lot of anxious conditions. Maybe he is just experiencing a lot of bad situations in order to keep his position alive. That's the reason why when we're comparing to something like the life is changeable for everyone else. Everyone else wants to get more power. Everyone wants to live their life as a king. Living as a king one day, it's better than living as a shepherd in 1,000 days. Okay, it is your choice, and there are a bunch of opportunities here, and I'm not going to judge anyone else here because everyone has a different and a unique life perspectives. So we need to show respect to each other. If we show respect to each other, probably life will going to be easier for us. So the main idea here, when we are comparing the thinking about, I am living in Turkey, which is a third-class country. I have always wanted to go to the party, maybe doing the casual sex with everyone else, but would I like recommend doing the casual sex with anyone else just while you are partying, while you're going to the party areas as well? But the situation is really fierce. Maybe you can get affected by the HIV virus or the other viruses as well. But sometimes it can be very, how can I say, very exciting. Maybe it can be a bit of excitement, maybe a lot of excitement, because you are just doing sex with anyone else. After the 1 week, you are just break up. After you broke up, you are just trying to find another partner. So the circle is continue while we are just searching for another partner. But you are losing your body's value, and you are losing your value as well. That's the reason why sometimes we need to just keep our standards higher than our expectations. It's not meaning that don't do any things, don't go to any clubs. When you are just being young, it is easy. You can just say fucked up and fuck it, I'm not going to do that. So it's understandable. You have a lot of time and you don't have to worry about that. But while you are just getting old, your lifetime is getting lesser than you think. That's the reason why you have a short of a time. That's the reason why you need to push your limits, and after you're just surpassing your limits, you need to do the things in a short of a time. Whenever I was in Taiwan, I realized that nobody was talking with me that times, and I was just checking the girls. They were riding on a next level cars, the very high level cars, and they were so happy there. But they didn't see me. I was there, but I was invisible there. That's the reason why I was just complaining about the situation. I have always wanted to live in abroad, like the first class countries, the Canada, the Japan, the Germany, the Australia as well. But living in the Middle East is really hard because the Middle Eastern culture and the other culture, when we are comparing it, most of the Middle Eastern people are just suffering a lot. They are just saying about a lot of the meaning of agonies. They are always just suffering, and they are getting the secret of the being suffering. The suffering is a very great meaning of in these Middle Eastern countries, but if you go to the Western countries, the suffering is really bad. And according to my opinion, all the Muslim people wants to live in Europe, which is the Christianity, which is a Christian country, which is the Christian association, which is Europe. It is Christian, but most of the Muslim people wants to live in Sweden, wants to live in Germany. I really don't get their ideas as well. I really don't get them. That's the reason why I'm complaining about this situation, and I'm not going to be judgeable here because everyone has a different kind of expectations. For example, if we are just trying to understand the life perspective of my side, probably you will just see the world from my frame. My frame is going to just let I really want to just clubbing, doing a lot of sex with a lot of girls because of I'm a man. Because of I'm a man, that's doing the sex is very important for me. Like, I was just thinking about this issue for a long time and just get to try to understand what's going on here. And that's the reason why we are just going to complain. On the media, on the social media, maybe on the YouTube, mostly we are watching the videos and we are just getting a lot of effect by the content creators. And we have the tendency to see the world from their point of view rather than our own point of view. Mostly people wants to believe something which is common. Mostly common things are being the real, which is not real. Mostly in this area, just for example, you're just like the football, right? The football is very popular and everybody likes the football. But if you were living in the 1000 year before, 1000 year ago, the football wasn't so famous enough. Maybe the 10,000 years ago, the football wasn't so common. That's the reason why in every era, every just the hobby, every just like the fame, every trend is changing. The trend topics are so changeable from world to world. For example, the gold is very important, right? The uranium is very important. The obsidian is very important as a rock. So after a while, if you are using just gold for buying a lot of things, maybe you can buy a house with a gold. But it is in the deeper side, in the deep side, it is not something like we reliable. It is not very important because we have created and we have gave its meaning to a gold. The gold is very sustainable and the gold is valid everywhere else. Even when you go to Japan, even when you go to Russia, the gold is valid everywhere else. But the situation is so different. If you have been in a desert, like desert, like if you are so starving, if you are just being thirsty a lot, you can give one gold just buying a water. The water is very easy to find here. Okay, I have a water here and I can drink my water here. It's very cheap. But if you are living in the airport, if for example think about the airport, the water, the price of a water is so high, even you cannot buy it, even the Turkish airports. That's the reason why most people are just complaining about the station when they are going to China. Most European people coming to Istanbul airport, and then they are going to Beijing or the other airports as well. But the water in the airports is so high, maybe you cannot buy it. But in your neighborhood, in your area, it's so easy. The value of a product is changeable station to station. For example, would you save someone else? You have the money, right? You have the cash, right? For example, if you are just getting exposed to earthquake, you cannot go to the bank, you cannot take your money. If you have a gold, you can live longer because if you have a gold, you can just buy something else from anyone else because you are paying your gold. And it is so important, even the earthquake times, the money, it's being so unimportant because you cannot take your money. All the ATMs, all the something like cash places have been gone, and maybe they are not working. That's the reason why the earthquake just declares which people cannot gonna live or which people cannot gonna live. The situation is changeable to station everywhere else. Even in the war situation is different, and the other stations are different. Something else, maybe 10 years ago, 10 years ago wasn't so popular enough, but after the maybe 100 years, it will be so popular. Like think about the Jet Kundo or the Ip Man. Would anyone else just trying to understand Kung Fu before the Ip Man, before the Bruce Lee? After the Bruce Lee just came went to America and he just studied philosophy, and whenever I'm just checking his speech, he was talking about be waiter, be shapeless. And when he was just playing a ping pong like Takyu, which his own the stick, like he was just playing with the table tennis players with his own sticks, like with two people. It was so awkward. It was so successful for the Bruce Lee. I really appreciate his endeavor for here. So another thing which is living in this world, the visual beginning of crisis. So in 2016, Oxford Dictionaries declared post-truth the word of the year. This was not symbolic. It reflected a miserable cultural shift. The term describes a condition in which objective facts become less influential than emotional appeal. Truth doesn't disappear. Its authority declines that distinction is crucial. Mostly we are just doing the distinction between the people and all realities, and mostly people trying to judge the other people easily. Even the social media, or trying to circle. For example, do you wanna just be a friend someone else who is just trying to complain about a lot and who is just trying to be different from each other? I have always wanted to be a great content creator and a great influencer, but I couldn't be a great influencer here. Why? Mostly even my English language able skills aren't so enough, and I was just lacking in an English level. But if I just speak English daily, mostly my speaking style, my point of view will be better at time. I was just thinking that if you are famous enough, you can do anything you want, and you can just hang out with any girl. It's so good. Like, think about the Dan Bazillion and other content creators as well. Mostly in the media, we are just selling our image. Or image is just getting selling. Mostly we are not represent or this authentic existential. Mostly we are just selling or inauthentic existential rather than just an organic existential. For example, you can be a farmer and you can just working in agriculture. But if you have a just different kind of social media experiences, maybe you can introduce yourself as a leader. Maybe you can introduce yourself as a politician. But after your social media end, maybe you can continue to live as a farmer. The life is so changeable. Like, think about the Serial Experiments Lane, which is a very great anime. I have been watched before. So in this anime, you have different kind of personas. On the social media, your persona is different. Your persona is judging the others. But in your real life, your persona is a bit of calm and not judging other people. Mostly, we have tendency to create a lot of personas in this world. For example, our persona is different to our families. Our persona is different to our colleagues. Our persona is different to our friends. And our persona is different to social media. Mostly, we are just getting discrepancy here, and we are just getting divided by the personas, and some people cannot bear it, and some people cannot tidy up. Mostly, we are just doing a lot of mass here. Mostly, we are on the social media thinking about we need to just collect the society, we need to just think about the peace of the society. But in the real life, we are just battling with other people, we are just cursing to other people, maybe we are just trying to do the things which we don't want to do in this real life. That's the reason why we have a complicated characters and the personas are so changing. And if your persona is changing a lot, you cannot stand with that and you can just go to the suicide. It is so easy. Like, think about the Sylvia Plath. I have been just reading a book from Sylvia Plath, which is just a very famous, maybe Ariel and other poems as well. She was suffering a lot from the personas, and she was mostly just complaining about being a mother and being a writer. Mostly my personas are changing each other, so she didn't want to just continue and she didn't want to maintain this idea. So she committed suicide. She committed a suicide, and it was a very bad experience for her. The other thing, like, think about the Ayn Rand. She went to America from the Russia SSCB. Maybe we can just talk about Russia. So the experience of the Ayn Rand, which she was just experiencing, was so inactive, wasn't so good enough for her. But she also defended the objectivism, which is very common in a capitalist world. But the objectivism, while she was just supporting the objectivism, she was just giving money to her husband. She was just paying out of helps to her, maybe just like the church, maybe the like the helpful places, etc. So I was thinking about this issue for a long time. Our ideas and our lifestyles are changeable, so we need to just catch the authenticity. I have always wanted to live in Japan in my reality. Just whenever I'm in Japan, in an airport of Japan, like the Haneda airport, Haneda Hikoki, I have watching the people around the world, just they were working and they were so happy to customers. For example, think about the Japanese people. They are so happy. Mostly we are just being different from each other. Mostly they are just taking a mask like the honne and tatamae. If you are just thinking about the Japanese people, they are always smiling. Why they are always smiling? Have you ever thought that before? For the money, for getting the attention, because Japanese people haven't got any resources to sell to other countries. That's the reason why they are just only selling the culture. And they say our culture is very unique and our culture is very awry. It is not true, brother. Like, mostly they have the tendency to appeal the other countries. Just they are using the rats and they are making the other people very just satisfying, just getting to Japan and paying the money, just buying their items. But mostly the Japanese people have affected by the Chinese culture. Mostly they still even the Chinese alphabet, so they are acclaimed that We are unique. We are not just smiling with other countries. It's not true. Even the Yayoi period, mostly the Japanese people are getting created by the Chinese immigrants, maybe the Chinese prisoners. So mostly even the Japanese people are going to reject it. The truth is here. That even they want to demur it. We cannot just deny this reality here. So the other things which I was just trying to understand the media, like we can just call it and we can just stand the position. I'm just trying to write a book and trying to just reflect my ideas. For example, the second part, psychology of belief and the fragility of facts, like the Hannah Arendt. So mostly the Hannah Arendt warned about something long before social media existed. She argued that the ideal condition for manipulation is not blind belief, it is confusion. When the distinction between fact and fiction collapse, public judgment weakens. Arendt didn't claim that lies were new. She argued that modern politics creates environments where the factual truth became fragile. Factual truth is different from opinion. Opinion can be debated. Facts must be established. If facts become optional, democratic deliberation becomes unstable. For example, even we are using the social media, mostly we are seeing a bunch of news. But the news, some news just defending the government, and some news have the tendency just to criticize the government. So mostly the government really wants to just get judged and really wants to get critiqued by the other people. But the small point of view of the small point of the people can judge the government. If you declare your enemy, it is better to understand which going to critique you. If your enemy being vanished, if you cannot define your enemy, you cannot understand just when you get attacked. That's the reason why most of the governments supporting the debaters, most of the governments supporting the criticals. Why? Mostly the enemy should be known rather than just letting anyone else. So it is better not to just shut all the mouths with the guns. If you're shut all the mouths with the guns, you can understand who gonna attack you when. So if you understand your enemy, you can understand when they can attack you, when they can just try your limits. That's the reason why most of the people need to understand it is better have an enemy rather than not having an enemy. So having an enemy is good because you know your enemy. If you don't have an enemy, you cannot know your enemy. That's the reason why. Just keep your enemy close than your friends. It's a very unique perspective and proverb for everyone else should be known. So mostly on the social media, people creating different kind of point of views and different kind of characters, even they don't believe on it. Mostly they are sharing kind of knowledge, even whether they know the resources, they know the very reference, not. They are just sharing. Maybe sometimes we can just affect by the oversharing. Mostly we are just supporting the people who are very famous, who have very great kind of amount of the social media followers. But it is not true. Mostly they are changing the reality. Even they are getting money from it. For example, you can see a YouTuber and you can define that YouTuber. He is so objective. He is just looking to the events from different kind of perspective. But it's not. Mostly he is getting money in order to just make you believe on it. For example, most of the people, most of the debaters, most of the politicians, when you are just try to understand their speech, 80% of their speech, they are just giving the general facts, which is very common. But the 20% of their speech, maybe the 10% of the speech, if they have less power, they are giving the knowledge what they should give to you. That's the reason why even the knowledge is changeable. Even you just get a transcript, you will understand. 80% of the text, most of the politicians, most of the influencers, most of the media speakers, most of the news speakers, and most of the people who are just on the media giving the general facts, 80%. But the 20% is the giving the no information, what they wanna give to you. So it is better to understand the world behind of their limits. And when you are thinking about the content creators, when you are checking their transcripts, even their titles, even their thumbnails are similar with each other. Mostly they are not talking. For example, there was an inflation in Turkey. Everybody is trying to continue to talk about the inflation. There's an inflation in Turkey. It's very bad, and people are just suffering. After they are shutting the camera, they are continuing their lives. Maybe they are going to nightclubs. Maybe someone else on the social media say that nightclubs are so bad. Doing the casual sex is very bad. We are not recommending it. On the social media, someone else just saying that, and after he is closing the camera, he is just going to nightclubs, and he's maybe going to prostitution. That's the reason why nobody can trust anyone else anymore. Mostly on the social media, people are just showing their not true personalities, and they are showing their fake personalities and make the other people believe on it. So mostly society just getting shaped by what we should do rather than what we are doing. So there are two different concepts here and just getting different from each other. Most of the people trying to be focus on what we should do rather than just what we are doing now. Most society don't want to just accept their own shames, their own agonies, their own the bad things, their wicked things. Most people are just trying to criticize, and we are not appealing it. We didn't do that. We are not remember this kind of even the bad moments. For example, think about someone else who have killed 20 people in Turkey. Most people not trying to believe on it. Like it's some like a myth. They are not talking about it. They are not doing any Netflix movie about that. But if you are thinking about the Europe can face their own historical events. Even it's bad. For example, even the Dracula, which is a very bad empire. They are just facing with their empires, and they are understanding what we should do, what we shouldn't do, because they are getting effect from it. So in Turkey or in the Middle Eastern countries, mostly the truth should be hidden. For example, think about you're a child, like you are just a watcher and you are the viewer, but you are thinking about yourself as a child, what your father can do. If the fire is bad, if you have a light, something else, maybe we can just give a real example of it. If I just find my light, okay, I have a light right here, okay, it's a very bad. Nobody is going to support it. So if I have a child, what should I do? Should I say it, this light is very bad? If you are just open it, if you are just try to hit your light, mostly it's going to fire. And if you just use it, you can just fire the house. That's the reason why what father is doing. The father is putting it the place which the children cannot see. So even he tried to hide this light from his children, if the children finds it, it's gonna be fire, because the father didn't warn him. It's a very bad. He didn't say anything about the fire. So what the children did? The children wondered what I can do with this light, and he took this light and he tried to just hit the button, and then he fired all the places, all the goods, all the environments. So in another position, another father saw the children while he is just playing the light, and the father closed his children and said, this fire is very bad. If you just open it, if you try to hit it, it can fire. If you just try to fire something, you can burn all around the house. So we can just stay hungry, and we can try to stay in outside, and we don't have any house anymore. If you do that, we will not have any house in the near future, maybe in the next future and the near future. So the thing is, the second position, for second instance, the father is teacher. The father is teaching what is bad and what is good. The children try to distinguish between the good and bad, and the children just getting a point. So it is better the second things. If you just do the first things, is hide the bad things, hide the weak things, and don't see anything, don't talk about it, but it will still continue to exist, and you cannot change the situation. You cannot change it. So it is better to talk about the bad situations, the bad topics, rather than just hide it anywhere else. So it is better. So according to my opinion, the reality of bad, the moral, and something like different kind of point of views are still exist in the human beings. Even we are talking about being a good person, being nice, being good. Most of this kind of reliefs are not very real. Mostly people have a different kind of size. Everyone has a different bed size, and everybody, because of they have a bed size, they are not talking about it, and they are trying to hide it rather than just trying to continue to talk about it. So we are just perceiving the world like everyone is good, like everyone is very peaceful, everyone is very calm, everyone is very smart, everyone just can do whatever they want, and everyone is just obeying the rules. But in essentially, it's not. Even in nowadays, people just complain about a lot. Mostly people just trying to judge the other peoples. But while they are judging the other people, while more, for example, you can just go to the church and you can just out your sins. But in the end, mostly when someone else just trying to critic a sins, mostly he or she may be there, did it before, and they don't want to accept it. Because of they don't want to accept this, they want a relief, and that's the reason why they are criticizing someone else who is drinking alcohol, who is going to nightclubs, who is doing the sex. Why? Mostly they want a relief, and they want to think themselves as a good person, and they want to see the other people as a bad person. But if the good people have a chance, they can also have a tendency to be a bad people. That's the reason why every people, every good people, every bad people have started in a one thing. For example, think about all the bad people, all the prisoners. Maybe someone, when they were baby, they were also just like maybe good. They didn't do any bad things. So the society, the environment make us different and make us guilty. That's the reason why we are not talking about being fairer and just being different from other people. Every human being is experiencing a different kind of lives than others. Your life maybe can be unimportant when we are comparing someone else, but the centuries, the times are so changeable. We are thinking about someone else who is very famous on the social media nowadays, but someone else, for example, think about the Messi, think about Ronaldo. They are so famous football players, but if they have born in the 10,000 years ago, if they have born in the 20,000 years ago, would they be a Ronaldo? Would they be a Messi? Not, because the football isn't very popular. If they have born as a soldier in that times, maybe they could be successful, maybe they couldn't be successful, and they would have been died and nobody will going to remember of them. That's the reason why we need to understand what's going on and what is so different. We need to lead at the moment. We cannot just try to distinguish it. Mostly we are just trying to experience our lives. Mostly we are just have tendency to think about the future. Most of the people, the 90% of the people living in the future rather than just living in the present. Maybe it's a 10% of the people living at the past. So nobody is trying to live at the moment. Why? Because we are scaring. Mostly we are scared what's going on. If you are just 20s, your life is very simple and you can just fuck it everything else and you can complain about what's going on and what's not going on. It's easy. But if you're just passing the 30, maybe the 40, you are trying to ask yourself a question. Who am I? What am I doing here? What I will do after I dead? Is there any meaning of a life? So, memento mori, like they have the Stoa perspective. But the questions are repeating itself. Mostly even the 10,000 years ago, the 1,000 years ago, even the Aristotle, Plato, they were asking the same questions. Is there any meaning of a life? What is the meaning of a life? Like the TST, which is very popular in the French literature. But the question of the TST just shaped like the how. Mostly, whenever we are talking about the first human being, like the paganism, like the animism, people were asking the same question. What is that? What is this? But nowadays people are asking, how is this? How is that? Most of these questions are changed a lot, and nobody nowadays is trying to search for a God, and they have a better understanding. They are creating a meaning. For example, think about the art, like something like the Michelangelo, who created structure of sculpt of a David. Maybe think about the Salvador Dali. Maybe think about the other, like the which was the who were the very famous, like the painter Van Gogh. Mostly their tables are so popular. Why they are so popular? Even their lives are so popular as well. They are creating something like the different, and they are trying to push forward the limits. and they are trying to surpass the limits behind of the truth. The truth can be shown by everyone else, but the ice just cannot be shown. Just for example, you are just seeing the surface of an ice, and you are not seeing the deeper side of an ice. If you are just riding on a ship, okay, you are in a ship. For example, you are watching the ice. It is so big, but you don't see the deeper ice, which is just in the ocean. That's the reason why most of the people try to have a tendency to believe the general facts rather than just the truth. The truth is changeable, even the century to century. The knowledge are replaceable to century to century. For example, think about the Ottoman Empire. The Ottoman Empire tried to go to the Vienna. If you are thinking about the Ottoman historians, they think like they just came to the Vienna. But if you are thinking about these truths from the Vienna historians, mostly they are going to debate that the Ottoman cannot cannot just go beyond of the Vienna. They came to Vienna, but they didn't pass it. That's the reason why even the knowledge have tendency to get understand in a different kind of mode and a different kind of perspectives. The mostly in this post-truth world, the perspectives are so unchangeable. Think about the social media. They have private jets, they have the luxury cars, they are just dating with the models, but in the end, they are just the media players. Mostly they are just giving, mostly were the people just using the BMW, the Range Rover, they are just making it as a rent. They are taking it as a rent. Mostly they are renting a car and they are riding on it and they are recording the reels and they say, I am so rich. Most the impression is so important, even the first impression. So mostly people as an impression trying to impress other people like the influencers. If the influencer have a great level of the impression, people can just affect from her or he, maybe if they can affect from them easily. And then people try to just delve into their frames, they get down into their opinions. Mostly we have tendency to look the world from different kind of people's opinion, different kind of people's frame. The frame is so important. Frame can changeable. Most of this frame can be focused on here. Maybe frame can focus on this books. Maybe this frame can be focused on like a scope, like the black scope, like the black screen, like other things as well. Maybe my microphone can be a focus topic. So maybe my face, maybe my hairs, my t-shirt, maybe my t-shirt, like a set, maybe my shirt, like other things as well. Not t-shirt, my shirt. So the other things, maybe the coffee, what I'm just drinking now, can be a main topic here. Even this time, like a French press. Like, do you like the French press? I really like the French press. So most of the topics are so changeable. Even the media, even the trend topics. Think about the Jewish people. Think about the prompt Muhammad. Think about the prompt Dawood. Think about the prompt Musa. Even think about the prompt Jacob. The Jacob just, for example, just, what was the name of this other things as well? Like the wrestling. Like, yeah. The Jacob, the prompt Jacob, where the prompt Jacob was wrestling with the God. Can you believe on it? Even the prompt Yunus was in a, like, what can I say? Like the balina, which is like the other things. Even the whale, like the Yunus in the Turkish meaning, if it's just say Yunus, like dolphin, like dolphin, and the prompt Yunus just were in a dolphin 2 days. Even the prompt Musa, like the Musa in English, what I say, so like maybe you can understand English. I'm sure guys sometimes in it just like the Moses, like the Moses, the prompt Moses has killed someone else, but we are just call them even the prompt. So the truth, mostly we are just giving to someone else in a frame is changing. The frames are changing, the situations are changing. If you're asking my opinion, I have always wanted to be some like a gym player. I also wanted to just go to the gym, just making a lot of muscles and just getting affected by the girls. But I didn't have a lot of money, just dating with the girls, just making the muscles. I wasn't so interested. Meanwhile, I'm living and nobody's interested with me. I was so alone. I have get used to this situation. If you are just getting used to this situation, it's being so hard. If you are living in Turkey and you are just being jealous other the first or the second class country members, for example, I have been in Taiwan. People were so people were so like the healthy. They were eating the first class food and they were so healthy. They can go to the sports and they can do the dance, etc. But in Turkey, doing the dance is so hard for us. Just going to get the being a citizen rather than just being a someone else. It is so different, the kind of views. Mostly people living in the here cannot be a someone else, like cannot be a person. Mostly they are just being a someone else. That's the reason why being person and being someone else is so different. If you wanna be person, you have something like a opinion. You have something like a position. You need to something like just getting more attention. Being a soldier, being a politician, like this kind of occupations are so important here. Mostly people wanna follow someone else who has the power. If you don't have any power, most people not going to follow you. Even the impression on the social media, we only share our powerful side, powerful frames, rather than just or when someone else is crying, are they sharing their crying moment on the social media? No, because we don't want to get judged by the other people. If we share something like this kind of photos, most people can judge us and people underestimate us, and nobody will going to respect us. If you lose your respect, it is so hard to regain it. That's the reason why in the first you need to be yourself first rather than just acting. You shouldn't be act like you didn't be. Mostly if you wanna be, you need to lose yourself first. Just think about your knowledge, think about your information. If you wanna just cut your branch, it is better. Most people just sitting on a branch and they are scaring just before just cutting their branch. So it is better to cut your branch and go to the new branch. So if you don't lose your information before just going to another information, before just recreating yourself, so it's gonna be tough for you. Mostly we are just believing of the facts which we didn't think about it before, which we didn't question about it. Mostly just questioning about the facts, questioning about the reality is so important. If you wanna be important, if you wanna affect the people, if you wanna impress the people, firstly, you need to believe on your lies before anyone else. So if you believe the situation, if you believe the world which you have created and which is very unique perspective, if you follow your path, even the 5 years or the 10 years, mostly people try to continue to follow your path as well. Mostly, we are following the people who are just trying to follow their own opinions, who are just following their own paths. If your path is so changeable, so flexible, for example, sometimes you are just going to support the socialism, and sometimes you are going to talk about the nihilism, and sometimes you are going to talk about the capitalism. You are supporting capitalism Tuesday, and you are trying to support the socialism in Wednesday. Mostly people are going to judge you, and they won't give you any impression, and you are changing a lot. Which opinion are you supporting? I'm not supporting that. We are not an opinion. The opinions are changeable, but your opinions cannot change in a one day, okay? If your opinions are changing in a one day, mostly you have not a structure. You don't have something like a solid perspective here. Mostly we need to create a solid perspective which anyone else can just believe on it, which anyone else can understand from our point of views. The point of view of the structures can changeable. The paradigm can just show you the way. Maybe you can just change the paradigm as well. But mostly we should remember it. The paradigm not always be with you. Sometimes you need to be with the paradigm rather than just waiting the paradigm being your side. If the paradigm is being your side, for example, you have a tendency to just doing the table tennis. If the table tennis is being so popular, you will lucky and you will get what you want. If the table tennis isn't be lucky, isn't be so famous in this world, in the world widely, so mostly people not going to give you an attention. Think about the world, like nobody else living in this world. You are the only one living in this world. You can just ride on Ferraris, Lamborghinis, like the Range Rover, Charlotte. You can just try on a different kind of cars, luxury cars. Maybe you can go to the five-star hotels. But here in the end, you will get bored of the station. Why? If nobody is just interesting and if nobody is trying to talk about you, mostly you will think about yourself. How I can be just so impressible. Like, if nobody else here, why I'm just using the Ferrari? I don't need it. If nobody else is just watching me while I'm just driving a Ferrari, while I'm just driving a Range Rover, while I'm just driving a Charlotte, if nobody is going to impress with me, is there any meaning? Just continue to use this car or this another car, because nobody will going to think about it. Nobody will going to think about me. If like to think about the serial experiments lane, I'm going to give you one answer, one question. It's like similar like the present day, present time, and you don't seem to understand. Okay, like present day, present time, and you don't seem to understand. Guys, but I'm going to take it like, if nobody is going to remember you, probably you will be get deleted, and you won't have any meaning. Even the God, if you think about the perspective of God, if no one is going to pray about a God, most of God wouldn't be exist, because the God's existential is depends on the people in this world. If there's no people, there wouldn't be any God either. That's a great opinion, right? Mostly the God and the people are connected to each other. If you are thinking about the Tanakh, like the Yahweh, it's not the Yehovah, it's the Yahweh, like Yahweh books, like something like that. Elium, yes, like the other books as well, the God's names are changing. The gods can be just angry because the God created the humanity, and he became angry, and the Moses talked with a God. After he talked with a God, the God changed his idea. The God wants to just demolish and destroy all the Israel people. And after the Musa talk with a God, the God changed his ideas. Where's the difference? Even the Ezra just not just getting accepted by the Jewish culture. The Ezra is so different. Even the Ezra didn't want to just be a prompt for the Jewish people, didn't want to be prompt of the Israel people. That's the reason why mostly even the prompts want to just disobey their Jewish people, the Israel people, because they were just getting out from the way a lot of time. That's the reason why most people are going to judge and going to question about this issue. So the other things which we are going to talking about the truth and the existential crisis, maybe we can just talk about we are living in a simulation. Yeah, the simulation is also important here. Most of the people trying to understand what's going on next. Are we living in a simulation, or are all the facts are so unreal? Yeah, mostly the governments have tendency to create the lies in order to keep the society alive. For example, most of the people are the prisoners. They are not talking about the prisoners. They are not talking about the crime. But the crime is happening. The crime can happen anywhere else, but it is better not to talk about every crime on social media. Why? Mostly you can get a fact. You can just try to get in a bad effect. So it is better you can understand it's happening, but you don't see. So if you don't see, you think like there is no happening and bad things in this modern government. For example, think about the Japan. If you are just watching the Japanese people or talking with the Japanese people, you will understand they don't want to talk about the issues. They don't want to talk about the affairs. They don't want to talk about the problems. If you are talking about the problems, you are not doing your job great. But the problems are happening in Japan, the inflation crisis, the immigration crisis. But the Japanese people think that if we don't talk about the immigration crisis, if we don't talk about the problems will going to be happen, and will not going to just circle around us. It's not. It's a very great different kind of point of view. It's changeable. But for example, the algorithms, the attention, and the architecture of visibility. Everybody in this world wants to be visible. They are creating a content. They want to just get more attention from the other people. They want to be famous. But not everyone else capable of doing that. Mostly the competition is really fierce. You need to just compete with the other people while you're just trying to believe yourself, trying to prove yourself. So it is not easy peasy. It's not a piece of cake. Everyone, you need to just continue your struggle, your just a game. The game is so changing. And not everyone else starting a game in a very same equal mode. Everyone think about the Bill Gates. Even the Bill Gates, the outlier, the books, even the Elon Musk, the Bill Gates. I'm not talking about the case of the Epstein about the Bill Gates. Maybe just talk about the other people like even the Stephen Hawking. It was very bad experience for the Epstein case, so I'm not going to talk about. Maybe we can give the other examples. Think about the Elon Musk. Maybe even the Elon Musk is just name is just on the Epstein. I'm not sure. So Michael Zuckerberg, yeah. They want to think about the Michael Zuckerberg. So the Michael Zuckerberg just stole the Facebook. So he created the Facebook, but his idea is getting stolen by anyone else, and he was just watching the other people just trying to something create a social media for the school, like similar like a Facebook, but Michael Zuckerberg just stole their ideas, but even he paid the money to them. So they are not talking about it a lot. So it is changeable, but the priority, the ideas in this world are similar with each other. But firstly, you need to make it real. Who is just making real? Think about the Darwin. He just created the theory of just the evolution of the just a truth, like the other evolution of the people, evolution of the cells, like the truth, like the Darwin. Maybe you can, if you just think about it, maybe I can just like to think about the Darwin. The Darwin, maybe the other things before of the Darwin, there was someone else who just created this theory. The other things like the maybe my Turkish, I'm so sorry guys, it's like the Darwin book names. I'm going to think about the think it through. My keyboard also is suffering. I'm so sorry guys. Like okay, like on the origin of spaces. Okay, the on the origin of spaces, which the Darwin just wrote this book. But before this idea, someone else just write something about the origin of the spaces. But it was a bit of different from the perspective of the Darwin, but it was. So we just everybody else can think about the idea, can think about the other things. Everyone else can do that. But making it real is better than just thinking. For example, everybody can watching just a chess game, okay? Think about the Alakin, think about the Mikhail Tal, think about the Magnus Carlsen, maybe Klitschko, maybe the Agat Mador, maybe other things as well, like the maybe chess players, like the Magnus Carlsen. When they are watching the chess game, everybody can think that we can be like a Magnus Carlsen. He's just playing a bad. I also thought this moment. But on the game, if you just play against the Magnus Carlsen, you cannot just think about these moments. You cannot make these moments real. Only the Magnus Carlsen can make these moments real. Everyone just watching that of bunch of kung fu movies. If someone else just doing the real kung fu, he is just getting education. Maybe he's from China. He is just going out of Shaolin temperatures, and he is doing the art of kung fu. But you are only watching the people who are just doing the kung fu. So maybe you have a lot of attention, maybe you have a lot of knowledge, and you are seeing the people. But making it real is really hard than watching the other people just doing. They are thinking. You can think, but you cannot make it real. That's the reason why the people are changing from each other now. As I mentioned that before, like the thinking, just making it real, are so different concepts here. So the algorithms, maybe we need to come back. The architecture behind what we see, the social media is not neutral. It's not neutral. It is structured. Every platform operates to algorithmic filtering. And when you're just trying to blow up the something on your main page, you mostly just getting affected by the other content creators. Maybe you are talking about the economic crisis. If you are talking about the economic crisis, your phone can just record your voice and just trying to push more the photos, more the post. We're just talking about the economic crisis. So mostly what you talk, what you think is being real with the algorithms. How many seconds you are just watching a photo? How many seconds you are just checking the other people's profile photo, like the other people's profiles. Every profile is different from each other. Every human being is so different, and mostly people just creating a different kind of image, which are so unique. But mostly we are just getting similar with each other. Mostly all the main pages, all the Instagram photos, all the Instagram reels are just similar each other. Mostly if something else just being the main viral trend, everybody else just continue repeating the same action till they get bored. So the trends, the viral topics are just circling time to time, and just they are repeating itself. Even the history repeats itself. Everybody's talking about history is repeating itself. Every just a structure, every just nation just thinking about the same. So these algorithms do not prioritize truth. They prioritize engagement. Engagement means clicks, comments, shares, time spent. The longer you stay, the more profitable the platform becomes. Accuracy is not the metric. Attention is. Mostly, the attention is more important than the truth. For example, think about the two news, like the someone else. Like I'm going to give you a second example. It's two examples. Okay, the first examples. Someone else is died in the for example, someone else died in New York. Okay, this is the first news. The second news, the 10 years child just gets damaged harshly and she gets killed. So which is very for attentionable, which is very more just giving more attention, the first one or the second one? The first one, the someone else. Who is the someone else? But the second one, the children is very important for the society. Most of the people going to click it rather than just the main idea. The main idea, someone else just die in the New York. So it is okay, it's understandable, everybody can ask. But the second, the 10 years old children has passed away in New York in a very harsh mode, in a very bad mode, in a bad situation. So which is more wandering news? The second one is more wandering. Why? Mostly people trying to understand the perspective by the attention, by not the precise truth. The truth is important, but truths can be changeable, rechangeable. So it's making more dramatic. Being a drama queen is giving you more attention. The attention is money. The attention is time. Mostly when you are just getting attention, you are getting the out of people's time. The time you cannot just give again, you cannot take it again. The time is just limitable. You cannot just try to change it and you cannot just take it again. The time which you are giving something, which you are trying to think about it, you cannot just draw it back. You cannot withdraw it. You cannot regain it. That's the reason why most people complain about the situation, why we have limited time. In this limited time, what is the meaning of a life? The meaning of a life, when we are living in this world, creating something which can just immerse, which can just affect the new generations. Most of the generations are so changeable. X, Y, and Z, X, Y, and Z, and other generations as well. Mostly we need to think about and we need to focus the old generation rather than the just like the before or the past or the future. We cannot understand the future. Maybe we need to understand to leave the world from the future perspective, but we will going to lose it at the moment. So moment is more important. The moment generation, the moment lives which we are living in. Maybe you can think about the 10 years later. Maybe think 10 years after. Maybe you can still think about the 10 years ago. Why I did that. I shouldn't do that. Maybe you can think about the future. I should do that. I will do that. But mostly in essence, it won't change. You need to focus on the moment. The accuracy isn't important. The importance is just getting more attention. Most of the people trying to get attention by the others, mostly because of they want to exist. If you want to exist, you need to just get approved by someone else. If not, nobody is going to talk with you. If nobody is going to get your DM box, if your DM box is empty, if your DM box is fulfilled by the bills, by the internet, electricity bills, like the other internet bills, like the warming bills, mostly you are going to suffer and nobody is texting you. If you don't have any power on the social media, if you are not handsome enough, if you don't have if you don't have muscles enough, if you are not a muscle man, if you are not a beautiful girl, mostly nobody will going to interest with you and your life will going to be harsh. You need to face with the harsh reality. I'm not going to just think it's easy. I'm not also handsome. That's the reason why we are just facing the harsh reality. If you're asking my opinion, I have always wanted to go to Japan, just clubbing with the other people, and rather than just asking the questions about whether there's a meaning of a life or not. So most of the questions are changeable. If you're asking my opinion, I would probably live in a very maybe not very minimalism is very better. Not taking a lot, not thinking about a lot, just not getting out of power and money. Mostly people trying to be famous. Most of the people trying to be rich. Okay, being rich is okay. I'm not going to just disappoint. I'm not going to disappoint you. I'm not going to just disobey you. Being rich is okay. I'm not going to deny you. But the one thing is true. When you became rich, your conscience, your your gaining will going to up, but your losing, just your spending money is going to be up. For example, you think about you are being rich, you need to buy a luxury car. Thinking about you are buying a Range Rover and you are giving the tax. So even you are being rich, your spending also getting higher as well. So the standards are also changing. You don't think like being rich is not the key. Just managing the money is the key. If you can manage your position, you are the rich. If you cannot manage your position, if you are just not sticking on a position more than a 1 hour, more than a 1 year, more than a 1 month, mostly your position will going to be subordinate. So mostly people, you are just seeing on the social media, maybe on a position, maybe you are a soldier. Everyone can be a president. Everybody else can be a soldier. Everybody else can be a police. Everyone else can be a content creator. Everyone else can be a politician. Everyone else can be a manager. But not everyone else can sustain the position of a management. Not everyone else can maintain a position of being a politician. Not everyone else can maintain a position which being a soldier. Not everyone else can maintain a position which being a leader, president, chef man, content creator, politician, leader, chairman, the president. The positions are so changeable, but the core is so different. Everyone else can do this kind of occupations, and the occupations are so changeable, and everybody else do that, but not everyone else can maintain it. Not everybody else can continue to do that. That's the reason why mostly people going to explain and just asking these questions. If you're asking my opinion, I also want to just go to Japan, just maybe being a Japanese teacher there. Even my Japanese skills are lacking. I can continue to speak in Japanese, and I really trust myself. I have always wanted to be not a Japanese teacher, just being a Japanese interviewer there, and just going to Shinjuku, Shibuya, and just try to interview with the other people and just trying to ask their opinions and being famous on the internet and going to a lot of nightclubs. That's the life I also want to experience it, but I couldn't because I didn't have a lot of money. The society didn't appreciate me. I was no one for the society, and society didn't give me a lot of attention. So even if you don't have any attention on the social media, if you are not famous with your friends, so the life is really hard for you, and nobody else going to come up with you and just going to be with you. That's the reason hard. It's very hard, brother. So being alone is really hard, and I'm not going to judge the other things, but it's the algorithms as well. Mostly we are just watching the social media and thinking about the algorithms, and we are thinking that everybody else living the best of their lives while they are suffering. But mostly people sharing to something, even the Eiffel Tower, and they are posting a photo and they are sharing it. But mostly, even they are taking a photo, sharing it, they don't show the bad side of the French. They don't show their ghetto places. They don't share the poverty. Mostly people focus on the good things, and you think that if you focus on the good things, you will understand there's no bad things, and they are living in the utopia. No, there are also dystopia, but nobody's talking about it. If you're not talking about it, most people have a tendency living in the utopia. That's the good, it's the utopic world which we are living in. Mostly even the dead, not talking so much. Nobody's talking about the dead. Someone else is dying, but nobody cares. Why? Mostly people wants to keep the silence. The dead, keep the silence, the other bad things. So it is really hard, but it is the reality of our life. The other things I'm going to mention it. Just give me a moment. Sorry, the psychological consequences. I'm sorry. What's that like? I'm going to just explain this other things as well. So my computer is giving the error sometimes. There are a bunch of the news is blowing up on my main page, but I don't want to just blowing out of main pages. I don't want it. I don't want it. I really don't want it, brother. Why they are just blowing up? I'm so sorry. The psychological consequences of epistemic instability. There were a bunch of movies. Have you ever know this movie? Hey, I was just watching a movie for now. Maybe I can just show you, but it is not a very good. I also like this movie. I'm going to just show it. Sorry, guys. Can you see that movie? Do you know this movie? This movie is very good, brother. I have always wanted to just watching this movie a lot, and it's very good, brother. Like, so I'm sorry, guys. Like, just showing this movie. I want to show you this movie. I really get impressed by this movie. It's very like the GK, like the debunking Tyson's MBD. Like, it is very famous. Maybe I can just watch it again, but it's not our main idea, main topic here. The main topic is like when truth becomes unstable, the mind becomes unstable. Human cognition depends on predictability. Predictability. We need coherent narratives to feel secure. In a fragmented information environment, currents weakens. Contradictory claims circulate simultaneously. Experts disagree publicly. Institutions are questioned. Certainty erodes. They produce cognitive tension, and tension produce anxiety. Yeah, mostly we don't want to see the world in a different kind of uncertainty. Uncertainty is making us very bad. You know, the uncertainty is really hard for the society. Even the something you need to make the categorize. You need to give the people category. You need to give the information. Even this is the untruth. Like, think about the Karl Popper. What is the knowledge? The knowledge can be something else, which can be falsifiable, which can be doing the falsification. The falsification is very important when we are giving a knowledge. So most people can categorize the information or the knowledge, and they can distinguish it. So it is better. If you're just giving a knowledge, it is better not giving any knowledge. The knowledge is a maybe wrong knowledge is better than not a knowledge. So maybe it's wrong, but it's something like giving you a way which you can follow. So it is a logical way is better than any way. Because mostly you need to find a way. If you don't choose a way, mostly the life will going to choose for you. Maybe life not going to wear your shoes, but you need to wear the life's shoes, not your shoes. I got it. Is there a way back? If we are living in a post-truth condition, can we return? The answer is complex. Truth has faced crisis. Truth has faced crisis before. Propaganda exists in the 20th century, like the Hitler, like the goblins, you know, the German Nazi propaganda producer. The misinformation exists in the 19th century. Rumors exist in ancient societies, like even the Socrates was mentioning that the rumors are so bad. I'm not just going to interfere with that. If you just hear rumors from someone else, don't say it to me, like something like that. What is different? Today is scale and speed. Digital systems amplify distortion globally and instantly, but amplification doesn't eliminate truth. It challenges it. So the truth is just getting challenged by the other side's effects. I have seen someone else, just a 35 years old uncle, just trying to go to a gym and being muscle, just looking like the 20 years old. So the society really supported him, and he became famous, even the Indian guy. So mostly people just supporting someone else who is very rich and who has very muscles. Maybe in the past societies, the society was supporting someone else who is very great warrior, rather than just being rich, rather than just being famous. So mostly the criteria of the society is changing, society to society, century to century, age to age, like the time to time. So we need to understand which time we are living in. Thank you for watching until now. I hope I will be very understandable for everyone else. I hope you will get some ideas what I'm going to talk, what I was talking about. So the things which I was talking about is so clear. Maybe sometimes I'm just doing the grammar mistake, but it is better to get used to it because it's not my mother tongue where I can do the grammar mistakes. It's understandable. Most of the people need to focus on a message rather than the reality of itself. The reality can changeable, but the message is important for everyone else. Just making the people awaken better than not awaken. So thank you for watching until now. See you on next video. Thanks a lot for watching until now. Please give a like, comment, and shares, and give whatever you want. And thank you so much. See you on next video.